So once again, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining another session of Azure Power Lunch. And as you know that we record these call and we place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be recorded, you may want to drop off now. And this call is joined by our Microsoft team members as well as our customers and partners. So with that, we're going to start with our topic of discussion, which is Azure Storage Action. This is a brand new feature. This is currently in public preview. So just like we always do, we are going to go take a look at what this feature is all about, how it works, and what are some of the common use cases where you can take advantage of this feature. So, and of course, it's a demo driven session, so mostly it will be demo. First of all, storage action is a serverless framework which allows you to run storage tasks at scale. So think of this scenario where you have millions of blob objects in your storage or in your data lake, and you want to do some action. You want to assign tags. You want to delete files which are of blobs which are certain day old. Yeah, you can run a function, of course. That's an option. You can run a function and you do that. But that's adds an overhead. Adds an overhead. You write a code. You have to maintain that function. This is a built-in capability, actually a built-in no-code capability where you can just come in and run this and scale it to millions and billions of objects. That's the cool part about it. And you don't have to provision any compute, as I said, any functions or VM. It does all of it behind the scenes or whatever it is doing. You don't have to worry about it. That's the cool part. Okay. So with that, what are the components of a storage task? Storage task is something that you run. That's basically three things. One is a condition. Condition is simply, hey, I want to find blobs which meet this criteria. Okay. If a blob meets that criteria, that is picked up. Operation is something that you do on that blob. So basically, that would be, um, you know, uh, uh, like deleting a blob or assigning a tag to the blob. That thing is called an operation. And then finally, you assign it to a storage account or part of a storage account, like a certain container, things like that, or path inside a container. So all of that is a storage task. And by the way, I'm just explaining it here, and once you see in the demo, it will be much more clear. So just for the conceptual stuff, just setting the stage. Move on. Why use storage action? Why you need that? Basically, it to improve productivity. You don't have to um, do any effort to automate these tasks. You don't have to create functions or logic apps or like a bad jobs to do that. It is done for you. Basically, you worry about your running your application, and of course, it reduces overhead and also it creates a separation of concern or separation of responsibility. For example, the application team is focusing on working with data. They may be getting these blobs in their data lake or storage based on FTP or whatever task, or based on their creating, or based on some input from the web, whatever that it may be. And all of that is stored there and they're working with it. They don't it does they're not worried about putting tags. On the other hand, there is a compliance team that is looking at it, and what they're doing is they are setting up compliance. They are setting up rules, tags, things like that, using these storage actions. You can reuse them. So you can have, like, let's say action, and then you can attach this, as I said, assignment. You can do this assign to multiple storage accounts. So you don't have to do it like, okay, one function for one storage account, second for the other. You can do the same thing and, kind of have a consistent, reusable thing uh, that is available to you. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So demo time. So first of all, let's go into Azure portal, and I have a resource group, and let's search for storage action. As you can see, I have already done it. And here are storage action. Just keep in mind, these are currently in public preview. Okay. So I go in here. These are storage
I
tasks.
don't want to do anything worthwhile.
Sorry, folks. Are you asking a question? And if not, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Okay. So let's start with creating a storage task. And first part is very simple. Oh, by the way, in terms of availability, I think it's only available in Canada Central and France Central. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm gonna call it APL task 01. Next, that's the meat of the demo. So first of all, this is the, just look at it. This is an if condition. Okay, so if condition is you wanna take a property. So what are the properties that are available? And let's review it. These are the properties. These are if the blob is deleted, and they're clearly indicating it's a Boolean. Version is current, then date time, access tier, change time. Okay, so this is the creation time, deletion time, last access time, and then you have um, numeric properties at your disposal that you can use. For example, you have current length, tag count, then you have string properties, access tier. What is the blob access tier? And that's gonna be, as you can see, sorry. So basically, that's what type of access tier that blob has. What is blob name, blob type, container metadata value. So all of these things are at your disposal and you can use it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use blob name and we are gonna call it, and then since it's a string, we can say ends with .txt. So if that is the case, so now this is my condition. Okay, what we're gonna do, we are going to add an operation. Sorry, we just delete that. We already have an operation. So let's see what. So these are the operations that are available. This is in public preview. So we may see more operation in the future, but at this moment, these are the operations that are available. Okay. And these are delete blob, set blob expiry, legal hold, set blob tag, set blob tier, undelete blob, all of that. So let's say set blob tags. We're gonna call it APL tag, and we're gonna call it APL. Okay, so that's that. And you can add other conditions. And by the way, sorry, in the clause, you can add more clauses here, add new clause. So you can have multiple ifs. So if the blob name is .text and it was created before that, then that condition. So you can create more. And at the same time, you can add new operation in then. So you can say, okay, not only do the tag, but also mark it for expiry or do something else. Got it? And then it is the else. Okay. As you can see, I'm not writing any code, but I'm building an if then else statement. Okay. If let's say it doesn't meet that, what do I do? And once again, I can do an operation where I'm going, once again, for sake of simplicity, I'm gonna set a tag and I'm gonna call it APL tag, and I'm going to set its value to APL, not text. Okay, got it? And that's it. I mean, very simple. I'm setting two tags, and that's all there is to it. Okay, now comes the important part. So creating this stuff is good and wonderful, but it's important to know that unless until we assign it to something, it will not come into play. You have to assign it to some storage account and go from there. So let's do an assignment. And for that, I'm going to pick an storage account. I'm going to pick this storage account here. Okay. And assignment name, I'm going to call it APL assign 01. And what is the role? Okay. This is very important. So since you are gonna be modifying the storage account, I mean, changing things, so you need to give a role that is appropriate. So since you are, you're playing with the blobs and things like that, so that's why storage blob data contributor role comes into picture. Because what will happen is this storage task will have an identity. Okay, it will have an identity, and with that identity, it will operate on that storage account, and that's how um, the operation will take place. Got it? And then prefix. What is the prefix that we need to follow? That's so what we can do is we can go into that storage account. This is my storage account, and this is my container. And as we always know that it is, the storage account is kind of hierarchical where you can have a container inside a container, and then you can build kind of uh, a hierarchy. So that's what we are using. And we are going to say that this is demo doc slash, sorry, dash. And that's the blob prefix. If you want to exclude blob prefixes, you can do that here. So let's say that you pick the entire storage account, but you want to just exclude some area. You can do that. Okay. And you can run it um, one time, or you can run it recurringly. Okay, recurringly. So there are some things that you continuously blobs are being pumped into your storage account or data lake, and you wanna run it maybe every kind of a day or something, or do something recurring task. You can do it. You can repeat in 7 days or less. So you see what I'm saying? There are different options that are available. In this case, we are going to do a single run. And this last part is also important. It generates a report, and that's the cool part about it. I mean, running on blobs, all well and good, but in the end, you get a report, so you can take a look what happened. You know, um, was there success on everything? What was successful and what failed? And oh, sorry, my apologies. I want to show you one more thing before this. If we go back to the conditions, sorry for switching back and forth, you can preview as well. Okay. So you can actually preview conditions like what's going on. So we are going to pick a storage account. And in this case, we're going to pick this one, select a container, demo docs, blob prefix is .txt. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we are going to ignore it, and we are going to search and look. Remember our conditions? We have two conditions, if and else. So if, so basically it is saying that yes, these two blobs. So you can actually, before running it, you can see it, in function, like how this is running. Because let's say that have some concerns about it where, I'm not sure I'm going to run it. There are millions of blobs. And if I run it, it made kind of write some data that I don't want to write. No worries. You have, um, I mean, you can do this preview, where it will show you these records, and you can see, okay, these blocks met the condition, and if you think that these are not the right blobs, or you wanna do something different, you can again manipulate, change the conditions and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of a test run here, right in the preview, where you can take a look and see how this will work in when we actually execute this particular action. Got it? Any questions? And I apologize for the back and forth, but I just want to show that the preview is there. Okay, so let's go next and let's create the assignment. And in that assignment, we are going to call it once again APL assign 01 and select the role. We are going to create storage blob data contributor. Blob prefix is demo docs dash. Okay, and trigger detail run only once, and it will run. Okay, one other thing to keep in mind that it will. Sorry, I just need to pick this one. Okay, so it will run, and we can say create a new container, data logs. So what will happen is it will run it, and it will store this data, all the logs in this particular container. With that, we are going to add the assignment. And as you can see here, you can create multiple assignments. And by the way, we are showing it from the UI because it's easier to show. You can do all these things from the, as usual, from with the usual suspects, PowerShell, CLI, or REST. Okay, everything is there. With that, that's it. We are done. And let's review and create. Okay, and what it will do is it will create it. It will once it's ready, it will run it behind the scene. But just like we always do, we have 30 minutes and we cannot wait for it to run. So I have another um, action that I've already ran. So let's take a look at it. Okay. In the meantime, any questions? Okay. So this is my some of the tasks that I already have, and let's take a look at it. One of those tasks. So this is a task that I already have, and if we take a look at the conditions, so this is very similar to that. We are checking if the blob name is .text, set blob text to APL text, and if it is not otherwise APL no text. Okay, so that's that. And what are the assignments? You can see the assignment. It is assigned to a different storage account. Let's go to the storage account. I think I already opened it, so let's not do that. So this is the storage account where and it has already completed. Okay, so let's take a look at the task run. This is the task, and this is the report that I was referring to. That there is a report that it generates that you can take a look, and it ran yesterday, as I was playing with it. So this report that it was generated yesterday. So let's take a look at the report. So once we do that, it's gonna ask us that its report has been generated. It's a CSV file. So let's open that CSV file. Hopefully you can see it. So as you can see that this is not the right report. Let me just go back here. I think I have already report that as, let me just go back. Give me 1 second. Let's see the task 01. Yes, so it shows you total run. So this is the task. It shows you total objects that the total objects, total operations. So it shows you everything. So let's take a look at the runs. Give me 1 second. We go in here. These are all the runs that have been completed so far. Let's take a look at the latest run. Open the file. Once again, we go into the report, open it. Okay, this is the one. You see, there are no condition met, no condition met, no condition met. So what happens is it ran it. By the way, it's a recurring task. So first time it went in, it updated the blob tag on these, and then each time it went in, it didn't find anything that it needs to update the blob. So it's saying no conditions were met. So basically, it's the blob tag was already set. And just to prove the point, if we go into that storage account, let's go there. This is the storage account. Okay, I have to sign in again. Give it 1 second.
So you can see 3.5% increase into it.
Thank you. So let's go into that storage account. We go in here and let's see if the tags are assigned or not. So this is my container. I went in there. And by the way, I told you. So this is kind of the baking thing. I mean, that task hasn't ran. The task that we created, it runs at a certain time. Since we are short on time, I already have a task that ran, and we are looking at that particular task. And this is the log container that we created for the storage account. And this is the all the logs that are stored. That's how they are stored in that storage container. And this is the demo container where we have all the blobs. So let's open one of that. And if we open this blob, pay attention to it. This is the demo tag 007. In that case, I have a different tag. So demo tag 007, I have assigned to it. Okay. And if I go into this one, what is the tag that are, so there is no metadata tag assigned. Okay. So in this case, there is no metadata tag because the query was slightly different. Got it? So just wanna mention it that um, once you run, once you set up this, it can continuously run, or you can run it uh, one time, but you don't have to write any code, you don't have to set up any um, functions or anything, no maintenance needed. It kind of it takes care of itself. It's a kind of a serverless platform that takes care of that. Okay. So, um, any questions, folks? So with that, I mean, as we can see, I mean, here are the logs. As you can see here, I mean, think of it. Right now, we have only 3 blobs, but let's say there are millions of logs. You can actually take these logs, push it into a certain tools, and you can look at that, how they were processed, what they were processed successfully, if there are any issue, condition met. As you can see here, no conditions met. That's why it doesn't, it didn't assign any tag, but here it assigned any tag because just keep in mind the task I was showing you, it was slightly different. So if we go into this task, apply tag task, it did not have an else condition. That's why no tag was assigned to the third file, which was non-text file. Got it? So that's why you don't see a um, a tag on it. So that's pretty much I wanted to cover. Just keep in mind this is currently in public preview and available only in 2 regions. So please jump in and take a look. I have some resources in the end here, so you can see or learn more detail about it. And since we have 4 more minutes, feel free to ask if you have any questions.
Yeah, well, sorry,
So
what regions is this available in at the moment in for the
yes,
preview?
France Central and Canada Central. Yeah, actually, I thought I had it here. Yes, it's available in France and Canada Central. Any other questions, folks? And by the way, the log folder doesn't have to be, kind of a log folder can be uh, assigned and it can already exist. I created the log folder, but you can create a default log folder, make convention, create it, and it should always be there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just want to make sure everybody is aware. Folks, any questions? Last call. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I hope we'll give everybody the 3 minutes back, and I hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. And hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.